Hello and welcome to another X-Ray Tech video. I'm your host, Tom Nasser, also known as the Automation Alchemist, and today we're going to talk about automation trends we can expect in 2022. These are the breakout trends that are going to redefine the way that you use automations on your team. So embracing them or navigating around them will help you get the most out of automation this year. So let's get to it. The first trend we're going to tackle today is the rise of survey-driven automations. So what is a survey-driven automation? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. So an automation that runs after you fill out a survey. The automation can use the data from the survey to perform all sorts of automated actions. Let's say you have a client onboarding automation. You could start this whole thing with a simple survey. You'd fill out the information about the client's name, the company name, project type, deliverables, stuff like that. And then an automation would go and create an entire folder structure or initial tasks, send a welcome email, or schedule calendar invites. All of these things and more can happen by just starting with a simple survey. At X-Ray, we're using surveys more and more in our automations. This is because survey-driven triggers are a great way of staying in control of your automations. As the user of the automation, you get to decide what data goes into it and when it runs. So for a non-technical team member, this is a huge advantage because they can clearly understand how to trigger the automation properly. So survey-driven triggers give your team more control, they make your automations more accessible to everyone at your company, and it gives you a very clear starting point for triggering a whole bunch of actions at once. So, in 2022, many more people are going to be building survey-driven automations. If you haven't built an automation with a survey yet, definitely try it out. Airtable is a great tool to actually build your survey with and store the data. And from there, try using Slack, email, or Google Drive to build simple and really powerful, useful automations. Next up, let's talk about the trend of every SaaS tool out there starting to become its own automation platform. This is not something we are excited about, but it's something we're seeing in the industry and really had to deal with in the automation space more generally. You can already see these trends emerging with apps like Slack, QuickBooks, Salesforce, Pipedrive, HubSpot, and a lot more, adding automation inside of their tool, as opposed to relying on automation software like Zapier or Integromat to facilitate automations. SaaS tools are adding automation directly into their platform. This is because they see automation apps like Zapier or Integromat as an off-ramp of their user actually using their software. So, in other words, you might not actually open Pipedrive much anymore if you can just take the data out and display it in something a little bit more pretty to look at. So you need the data inside of these apps a lot more than you need the app itself, and that's what they're afraid of. So these SaaS tools are adding automation features to try to keep you in their app regardless of what you want your workflow to be. Whenever possible, we'd recommend that you avoid using in-app automations. Instead, use a dedicated automation platform that lets you centralize your automations and build for any SaaS tool that you already use. So building inside of Integromat or Zapier lets you keep all your automations together and gives you visibility across all of your apps. Otherwise, your automations will become fragmented and really difficult to maintain. Of course, it won't always be possible to build the automations you want inside of these third-party platforms. You'll really be at the mercy of what each SaaS tool makes available inside their API. But by using dedicated automation platforms as much as possible, you'll be able to keep track of all your automations and maintain them in one place. Finally, let's talk about another awesome trend that's going to define automation in 2022. Professionals from every background are picking up automation as a secondary discipline. The great thing about no-code automation is that it's accessible for everyone. You don't need to know anything about software development or code, and anyone who wants to learn can just jump right in and start building. This year, we're going to see marketers, lawyers, accountants, entrepreneurs, HR, customer service people, really anyone from any background is going to be able to jump in and start creating automations to help save themselves time. If you and your team decide to make 2022 the year of automation, we've got a tip to help keep things straight as you're building. Make a channel in Slack or Microsoft Teams called Auto Updates. Make sure that every automation sends an alert to that channel whenever it runs. This is a really simple way of keeping everyone in the loop so you know what automations are running and what they're doing. We have tons of tips and tutorials on this channel that you can check out if you're interested in learning more about automation. You can learn a lot just by trying things out and see what works and what doesn't. You can take it from there. No-code is empowering everyone to build workflows that boost their productivity. We think that more people than ever will start automating this year because the one thing we all value is time. And I can't wait to see the results of what everyone's building. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to support the channel. If you'd like to learn more about no-code and low-code automation, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or even LinkedIn. And you can check out everything on our website at xray.tech. You can check all those links out and more in the description down below. And as always, don't forget, keep the flow.